Hey, it's the Pete podcast. You're listening to the Pete podcast. Welcome. You're about to hear quite an incredible story. This is really a story of true community spirit when the community steps up. Connal Donovan, who is the manager of the Duke's Head pub in Wallington, at the start of the lockdown, when people were getting furloughed and the pubs had closed, decided to pool resources with some local charities, and with the generosity of local people giving food, he was able to provide meals to be distributed to some of the most vulnerable people in the borough, which is absolutely amazing. I'd like to think you'd be hard pushed to find a parallel story anywhere else in the capital or the country, for that matter. I mean, there probably are, but this one's special because it's kind of on our own doorstep, if you know what I mean. But I won't say any more about it. I'll let Connal explain in his own words. So this is the Pete podcast, episode 10, with Connal Donovan, manager of the Duke's Head pub in Wallington. Oh, hi Connal, welcome to the Pete podcast. How are you doing, sir?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Yes, I'm all good. How's things going for you guys at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty quiet, obviously, with since COVID. Obviously, life's changed a lot in the pub environment. But luckily, we've kept busy by doing this charity sport, as well as bits of bobs around the pub, kind of maintenance stuff that when you're open, you kind of struggle to get done. So no, it's been a productive furlough, to be honest. So I'm happy with how it's all gone so far.
Just taking it back, as to the best of your knowledge, because I'm quite keen to explore a little bit of the history of the pub itself, because it is quite an iconic building for those people that know it, sitting on Wallington Green, and for those people that don't know it, perhaps they should, and this would be a good opportunity to talk about it. But what do you know about like the actual history of the building, the history of the pub, like when it first came about, when it was first built, etc.?
Yeah, so the pub's been around since the 1830s. It's always been a pub, and also was a bait and livery. So it was kind of a place where people would come, store their horses, get them fed and watered, and then obviously be able to have a pint and some food as well on their weary travels. But yeah, then obviously has always been a public house. Then during the war, obviously with all the bombing, a lot of this street on Wrights Row was kind of destroyed, and the Duke's Head was actually the only pub that building left standing. And then throughout the years, it's obviously had a few facelifts and refurbishments. Probably one of the most notable ones was when we installed the hotel, which was about 20 years ago, I think, from what memory serves me. And obviously we just recently had a refurb in October, where we just kind of redid painting, kind of got new furniture, redid the toilets. So yeah, I mean, Youngs like to reinvest in their pubs at least every 4 years at a minimum. And obviously we were planning on having the hotel done this January. Unfortunately, with everything that was on the horizon, they kind of put all that on hold, which is a shame. But the pub's changed a lot throughout the years, but the kind of main bar and the original building is listed. So a lot of the panellings, hasn't changed for God knows how long. So yeah, I know it's one of those traditional looking pubs, which is one of the reasons why I love working at the Duke's Head. Okay, I didn't realise that the hotel had only gone in just that short time ago. I'd sort of assumed that perhaps that was an older feature dating back many years. No, it's been a long time. Obviously a long time since it originally opened, but yeah, I mean the road used to be just normal residential houses, and then where the car park is now, from what other people have told me, it used to just kind of be a garden, a field with nothing much to it. So obviously a lot has changed in terms of the bar setup. because what's known as the lavender room now used to be the public bar. Where we go onto the patio used to be the toilet. So, it's changed a lot in terms of layout. But yeah, the hotel was kind of a fairly new transition for Young's, which they're also kind of developing continuously. Even after COVID, they intend to kind of, expand their hotel portfolio. So yeah, I mean, it's an important part of the Duke's Head. It brings a lot of outside economy into the area. We've got the Wimbledon tennis, Epsom. All these people come for, tourist reasons. You might not think Wallington's a tourist destination, but you'd be surprised. There's quite a few people who like to kind of be outside of the city, technically, and but be able to, enjoy a nice pub and hotel. So yeah, it's a very versatile pub, and like I said, that's what I really enjoy about the Duke's Head.
When did Young's take it over then?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I know it's been a very long time. John Young, who was, one of the original Youngs, he used to drink in here a lot, and there's many stories of him coming in and seeing all the punters and buying around and walking around with a glass of bottle of whiskey, topping everyone up during the Christmas. So I mean, it's been in Young's for a fairly long time. One of the people who I work with the charity, he's actually writing a blog on the Duke's Head history. So I'm sure he's found out a lot more about it than I have. We're due a little visit for him to come over and look around the pub and do the cross-reference what he's learned about the pub. But from what I know, Young's have had it for at least 30, 40 years, bare minimum. I imagine longer, to be honest.
Oh, okay, sure. And so are there advantages to having a sort of big brewery like that owning you, as opposed to being sort of more of an independent, or what are the sort of pros and cons to both of those?
Yeah, I mean, so I am an employee of Young's, so we are what's called a managed house. Young's also have tenancies, so people who rent buildings off us and sell beer and take their own profits, whereas we're kind of committing to Young's. I suppose in times of trouble like we are in, unfortunately in now, these are the benefits of working for a big company where they have a very secure balance sheet, have a lot more kind of support and contingency plans in place for kind of worst case scenario. So that is a massive benefit. I think one of the other things is that it's not necessarily my money that I'm spending. So whilst I'm in charge of the budgets and how everything is kind of laid out, I'm not losing sleep over not having the money coming in on for whatever reason, if it's a bad summer, bad Christmas. But then again, Young's are brilliant in the sense that you have a lot of autonomy, so you can be quite entrepreneurial. So it's kind of, they have a saying called freedom within the framework. So you're allowed to kind of have your own ideas and put your stamp on your pub, as long as it's kind of within the framework that represents Young's. Obviously, if you're an independent, you have no ties to anyone but yourself, and you have that freedom to do what you want and manage the business as you see fit. But yeah, I've enjoyed working with Young's. My whole career has been with Young's, and long may it continue. But yeah, I mean, it's a brilliant company to work for. There's so much diversity in different types of pubs across the southwest of the UK. So yeah, it's a really good company to work for, and it's only getting bigger as well, which is good to hear.
Wow, okay, because I actually did their brewery tour when it was in Wandsworth, probably about 20 odd years ago. I think that was just before they uprooted. Where did they move to? Was it Derbyshire? I can't remember where they've.
So they it was Charles Wells kind of merged, and then they moved over to Reading, where they brewed with the Wells Brewery, and now we are with Marston's. So it was Bedford, and I can't remember where Marston's are now, but yeah. The original brewery has been turned into flats now, which is called the Ram Quarter, which are I'm sure very nice flats, but it's a shame that it's not there anymore.
Yeah, and because they used to deliver by horse and cart, that was one of their things, wasn't it? And so yeah. I suppose at one point, well, did they do that to Wallington, out as far as Wallington?
Yeah, they would have done all that. We still have the horses. So whenever the winter warmer, which is one of our kind of seasonal ales that comes out during the Christmas time, they have the drays kind of come out and walk around there and give out some free pints. And we do a lot of promotional stuff with them. And it doesn't make any sense anymore to obviously do it like that, and it is a shame because it's such a nice kind of nostalgic touch to what Youngs were. And there are people drinking in this pub still who remember the Dre's coming around out in Wandsworth. So it's a lovely part of our heritage. But obviously financially and logistically, horses are no longer the preferred choice. But maybe one day we'll go back to that, but not right now, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. I was aware that up until, fairly recently, or perhaps like in the last few years, that pubs in general have suffered a lot in the UK. I think last year the statistic was almost 1,000 across, nationwide actually closed their doors. So was that cause for concern for you guys or for Youngs as a brewery?
Yeah, I mean, it is a massive issue within the hospitality industry where there are a lot of combining factors that are making it hard to kind of operate at profitable levels. So you have where it all kind of started when you had the smoking ban and drinking laws, which obviously made a lot of rural pubs struggle because they're not going to, people aren't going to risk getting their license revoked because they want to go to have a few pints. Then the food offer came in. A lot of people then needed a reason to come to the pub. So it wasn't just having a soft drink, it's coming there for a nice bite to eat and all these different things. And, if you don't move with the times and kind of innovate and keep up with what's in and what's seasonal and all these different types of things, unfortunately, you might fall by the wayside. As well as, there's a lot of government-backed schemes that are putting pressure on the high street, business rates going up, rent going up, all these kind of fixed costs that you can't really change but are eating into people's profits are, a result of, a lot of closures across the UK. Yeah, it's a tough time for the hospitality industry, especially now. We've missed a big chunk of the summer, which is where a lot of people make their money. And, with the current guidelines that are coming in, it's looking like, massively reduced volume. That's only going to hinder them even more. So it's going to be a struggle for a lot of pubs.
I think certainly for me, one of the most disappointing aspects of losing out on something this summer was the Wallington Music Festival, which I know you guys hosted last year. I was actually, I don't know if you remember, I actually played there.
Brilliant.
Thank you. I wasn't fishing for a compliment. So approaching that, there was sort of 1 week where everyone was kind of talking about this pandemic that may or may not affect us. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, someone's telling you, actually, Connal, we might have to close the pub for an indefinite period of time.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind at that point?
I think you're exactly right. It was one of those things that kind of developed very, very quickly. And, no one really knew what to do. Everyone was kind of glued to the TV, every day whenever they made an announcement to kind of find out what was next. And, it was a strange time. Being a very customer-facing role, front-facing role, it's hard to, not be concerned about the dangers of coronavirus when it was coming. And, a lot of people in my team were very nervous and on edge about it, and so they should be. So it was when the announcement came, when Rishi Sunak announced that pubs would be closing, it was not necessarily relief, but it was nice to know that we knew where we stood now, because we had to stay open. Unless we were told otherwise, we had to stay open. And people were hearing more and more stories about what was going on in other countries and seeing how bad it was getting. So it was a very concerning time for the staff and as well for me. And then when Rishi Sunak announced that he was going to be giving 80% of the salary, it was just a massive relief. And a lot of people felt that they were being looked after now, and a bit of peace of mind and protecting themselves whilst not losing their jobs or any salary. So it was really positive news that we got out of it. Okay. Where we are now is the Chancellor has obviously extended the furlough period. So again, a lot of people's money is safe, and now we're reopening so we can kind of get back to people being paid their 100% salary and getting the economy moving again. So it's exciting times, and everyone was dealing with it off the bat, and even with the new opening guidelines, I'm sure we're going to have to be adapting as and when we need it, because the current climate demands that kind of reactive measures. So yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be an interesting period. Definitely, at least up until January, it will be very, very strange times.
Wow. Okay. So roughly how many staff do you have there in Wallington?
So we've got about 35 to 40 members of staff. So again, it's a big aspect of the local economy. They're all from the Borough of Sutton, and in the same sense, we were talking about Wallington Music Festival. That's a massive day for the local economy that we all missed out on, unfortunately. So the impact of coronavirus locally can never be undermined, yet let alone nationally. So or globally, for that matter. So it's tough. It's a tough time to be where we are right now.
And so going into the lockdown, then. It suddenly transpired that you and your team began cooking food. I don't know if that's preparing food for the local community and or for perhaps people who are considered to be most vulnerable. So how did that all come about? Whose idea was that? What happened there?
So basically, I've had a good relationship with one of our local councillors, Marion James, who coincidentally her grandson worked for me for a little bit. So we've had a kind of relationship, and when we closed up, we obviously had a load of food that was going to go to waste, that was going to kind of expire by the time we could reopen. So originally myself, my girlfriend and my deputy manager decided to cook what kind of veg and stuff we had in the fridge for the NHS. And then we had quite a lot, so I kind of got in contact with Marion and said, look, is there anything I can do during the pandemic to kind of help in some way? And that's when I got put in touch with Nicola from Age UK, who basically said, there's a massive demand. What was really surprising, what come out from this coronavirus is locally there's actually a lot of food poverty that people weren't aware of, or a lot of charities weren't fully aware of to the extent at which people didn't have enough food. And with the setup that the government had in terms of providing people with tinned food and fruit and veg, the issue was a lot of the elderly couldn't prepare that food properly. So working with Age UK and Sutton Community Farm, who are kindly donating food and veg, we were able to kind of use our kitchen. We have a fully professional kitchen, and I've got 4 live-in chefs, and they were all, bored out of their minds during lockdown. So we thought we'd do some good, and it's been overwhelming how much thanks we've been getting from people who, without Age UK were completely left on their own. It's loneliness is a massive thing, and it's a massive thing that Age UK tackle as well. Sometimes people just don't have the support network that you and I might have. So it's a great cause, and I'm just really proud of my team and what we've managed to accomplish during this lockdown. So it's been a pleasure to work with them. But yeah, it was just word of mouth. The local community just comes together in times of crisis. So that was really it. We just kind of started talking, and I put out what I could help with, and if that suited them, all good. And it just kind of went from there. So it was really, really nice moment for me.
Yeah, nice. And so you mentioned Sutton Community Farm there as being one of your network sort of partners. I actually did an interview with them recently. It's come out in a recent podcast, and they talked about the work they do in the community. So it's really great to hear, like organizations and local people kind of, networking and supporting each other. So they've presumably provided just a lot of fresh vegetables for
So they've been receiving donations from the local community. So you can donate a virtual veg box, which is essentially just a cash donation. And out of that kindness from the local community, they've been able to kind of fund us with a little bit of fresh fruit and veg every week, which is still ongoing. And yeah, I mean, all of it has come from the local community. There's no denying that, So whilst I may be cooking the food, it's the generosity of the people in the local borough who are allowing us to do this. And a lot, looking through your kind of podcast, a lot of the people you've interviewed are people who I've interacted with and had connections with in some form or another. So it just shows how close Sutton can be. Talking to some of these charities, we are not the same as other boroughs. Some of the other boroughs aren't working well in terms of linking up the community. So it's very, very special to be in the borough of Sutton, and I'm very proud to be part of the borough of Sutton.
Wow, that's so cool. And I saw recently, maybe it was a week or two ago, at the time of recording, a few weeks ago, perhaps when this episode comes out, but you put a post up saying that you'd just cooked your 4,000th meal to send out, and that's a huge amount of that's a lot of food. That's a lot of dinners.
It is a lot of food. Yeah. So we're probably coming up to 5,000 very soon. One thing that is amazing is that we've been able to kind of keep up this consistency. So we at least cook one batch of freshly cooked meals a week. Usually it's two. We are trying to kind of ensure that we are committed to that for the foreseeable future. And yeah, it's just, it's good teamwork and good logistics on the charity side, who are, linking it up with the people who need it and cycling through the list of people who need it. And yeah, it's not, the numbers tick up if you're just consistent with it. So, it's only going to get higher, hopefully.
So roughly how many a week then were you producing for how many people or how many meals?
So we're doing about 300 to 600 meals a week, depending on how many kind of contributions we can get from other people. Some of the fruit and veg I'm getting are just from local people who just want to help out. So we are dependent on what kind of donations we get to cook, because I've pretty much emptied the freezer and fridge in the pub, so I've got nothing left in there. So now it's really on the kindness of the local community, and we're still able to get through at bare minimum 300 meals a week, which is massive for the people who need it most in the borough.
Wow. And how, in terms of distribution then, is that something you've taken on, or is that has that fallen on somebody else's shoulders?
Yeah. So Age UK have, obviously GDPR, they have the contact information of the people who've signed up for Age UK. And we have a lovely driver who comes and sees me once a week, called Nima, who's an absolute saint, who's been working throughout coronavirus, delivering these meals as well as picking up donations. So, they've got a great system over there, and he's one of the real unsung heroes of this pandemic in Sutton. So big shout out to Nima and Age UK.
Going forward then, what does it look like? Because it seems imminently you may be able to reopen the doors, obviously with the restrictions and distancing. But in terms of what you've been doing, particularly providing food for Age UK in Sutton, is that something that could be set to continue, or does just that depend on people's continued donations or your intentions? Or how is that going to work out?
Yeah, so funnily enough, myself and Nicola from Age UK sat down a couple of days ago to talk about what the future would look like. We're reopening on the 20th, so a little bit after when the government allowed us to, and that just gives us a bit more time to figure out things logistically and open safely, and bring back the team in a safe environment. But my commitment to Nicola is that I want to continue this. I think it's a great cause, and I don't think there's any reason why we can't. So, as well as that, Sutton Community Farm have also apparently committed to Age UK as well. So, as long as that's there, we'll always have the facilities and the people to be able to do that. And as well as bringing in more volunteers to kind of streamline it a bit more, make it a little bit more consistent in terms of numbers and stuff like that. So we're right now, if anything, our relationships can develop further rather than kind of get less. So, which is really exciting, and something, like I said, I want to be part of and continue to be, and hopefully do a lot of fundraising events with them, because it's such a great cause, and it's helping people directly in this borough, which is, I think, a very, very important thing to know, who and where you're helping.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's great, that you're not looking at sort of, what's the right phrase, just sort of cutting it off and just thinking, right, okay, we've done our bit, that's the end of it. Like, you actually want to continue to do that with the support and donations of people, as you say, that live in the local community. And so, what a great big pat on the back for local residents and people who have got involved. I mean, that must make you feel really special, right? I mean, make the team and the whole kind of organization, that must feel really special. I mean,
I'm not to say I wasn't a charitable person before. I donated to charities before, but I never felt as impactful as I do now. There's whilst donating money and whatever else is absolutely important and vital for these charities to be able to do what they do. It was really nice to be able to get your hands dirty and really feel like you're have a final product that is going to someone and improving their quality of life. So it's been immensely rewarding, and especially for the team as well, whether or not they were involved or not. I'm sure a lot of the team take pride in the fact that their place of work is kind of involved in this, and hopefully going forward we'll be able to get some of their ideas as well and develop them and only make this relationship better. So onwards and upwards, I'd say. And whilst we're in a tough time, kindness is always free. So as long as we can keep that going, I'm sure we'll be able to look after our own.
So go on then, Con, give me a flavour of what some of the meals, some of the dishes you were actually putting together. I'm just it's almost dinner time for me today, so I'm just getting a little bit hungry myself. So
so we've done some pork casseroles. We do a lot of pasta, so kind of bolognese pasta. We did a prawn salad. Someone donated a load of frozen prawns. We did bread and butter pudding, so a bit of sweetness. I think something that people miss is a little bit of sweetness in their life. So we did a few desserts. What else have we done? We've done some steak pies, sausage rolls, sausage and mash, so a good pub classic there. Loads of different things, as well as really good vegetarian stews, soups, leek and potato, carrot. Anything we can get our hands on, we'll try and make into something nice and tasty for them.
Yeah, amazing. You also mentioned just a few minutes ago about potential fundraising events. That sounds quite interesting, because that sounds like something that people could get involved in. Any ideas on what that might look like?
Nothing as of yet, just because obviously we are conscious of what kind of government guidelines will dictate. A lot of this fundraising requires volumes of people to be able to come in and enjoy something and hopefully contribute. Myself, whilst it's been 3.5 months, 4 months of us and myself and Age UK and Sutton Community Farm working together, it's only very, very at the very start and early stages of our relationship. But I think we're all keen on helping, and I'm sure the local community will always be there to step up as they have been throughout. So whatever it might be, I'm sure it's going to be great and raise a lot of money. But it's almost watch this space at the minute. So
and throughout this time, I'm keen to know. Obviously, you're owned by Youngs. Have they had any input on this, or what's been their reaction to the work that you've done?
So they've been really supportive in the sense that we've been given the okay to use the facilities as well, because I am an employee, so it's not my right to just step in the pub and do with it as I please. So obviously I'll let them know that this is what I'm doing, and they've just been really supportive in the sense that I've been passing on the information that I've been given, and it's been feel good stories for our the company to kind of get behind as well. So they've been great, and I'm sure once we've kind of got back to normal, we'll be able to do a lot more involving youngs as well. So they're a great company to work for. We've always done kind of commitments to different charities. We've got our own charity called the Wooden Spoon, which helps kind of underprivileged people with sporting activities in London. And then every year we have a chosen charity that's chosen within your area, and then each pub does their bit to raise it. So hopefully this year I can have Age UK be our nominated charity, which will be great.
Yeah, that'd be great. So, just keen to know, do you network at all with, because you've got the other youngs pub down the road, the Greyhound? Do you guys network together? Is that something that happens?
Yeah,
quickly?
we're in the same area under the same kind of manager, and we're good friends. Myself and the manager of the Greyhound, and I think it's great that we have a good relationship, because I think that's important. We're part of the same company, and we're only down the road from each other. And we have meetings with the other publicans around the area for kind of licensing stuff. But everyone in this area runs a good operation, and they're all friendly, and we all get on with each other. There's no kind of love lost between rivalries or anything like that. And that's just we're all here for the same part, and that's just to be hospitable and serve food and drink. And I think there are a lot of good places in the borough to go for that.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, I just want to say, Connal, going forward, I do wish you all the best, you and your team. And for anyone listening, if you do want to get involved, then there are a number of ways they can get involved. Do you just want to share some of those ways again, Connal, just so people can hear that? Yeah,
so obviously you can donate to Sutton Community Farm with a veg box. Age UK always have a donation site available as well, and if you do want to help out with kind of grocery shopping for the elderly, you can get in contact with Community of Wellington, which link people up who need special assistance. And volunteer as and where you can, and support your local charities.
Hey man, this has been a really cool chat, and it's been so cool to find out about what you guys have been up to. And on behalf of the community, just want to say massive well done, and really appreciate the work that you guys have been doing. So thanks for joining me on the Pete podcast, and all the best for the months and years ahead.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Cheers.